KSC Presents. When two beachcombers found a message in a bottle, the note inside gave a raw glimpse into the past. Candy and Jim Duke stroll along the Padre National Island seashore and something catches their gaze. What others may have dismissed as a regular old bottle discarded on the beach draws the couple in. That's because they notice it has a message inside inviting them to open the container, and when they do, they can't believe what's inside. Most Saturday mornings find Candy and Jim at the beach. The Corpus Christi, Texas-based pair spent that day perusing the sand along the Padre Island National Seashore. Their expeditions rewarded them with natural treasures, including sea glass and bottles, the latter of which they used to decorate their backyard fence. This time, however, Candy and Jim happened upon a completely different type of the seaside treasure. They took to Facebook Live to broadcast the moment they finally opened their message in a bottle. Candy read out its stunning content, and no one could have possibly guessed what the message would say. As soon as she went live on Facebook, Sandy started by explaining her reason for doing so. She said, "We went to the beach today, and as usual we always find wonderful treasures. Today we found a bottle that has a message in it, so we decided to go on live to open it." As Candy read out, the container had an outward-facing message that read, "Break bottle." But the beach-coming couple didn't want to do that, considering their growing collection of coastal treasures and their clever way to display them all. She explained, "We collect the bottles from the beach and we have them going down Jim's friends in the backyard." Jim began trying to pierce the cork by twisting the corkscrew, but felt as though the stopper might be broken or something, as it barely budged. Then he realized that the cork was made of hard rubber, a much different material than the traditional soft cork that closes wine bottles. When the cork wouldn't budge, Jim came up with the second plan of attack. He said he would twist the wine opener some more to see if he could pull the cork out himself. That method proved somewhat successful as pieces of the cork started to break off. Still, most of the stopper remained firmly in place. Candy said maybe that's why they say break the bottle, because they sealed it really good. Within less than a half minute, though, she and Jim would finally thwart the hard rubber cork. As he manipulated it with the ice pick, it started to move, and he exclaimed, "By George, it's coming!" Then, finally, Candy unfurled the message in the bottle and read it aloud to her Facebook Live audience. At first glance, she noticed that the letter had a space for her to reply. She described, "It has a date, place found, your name and your address, and it has the number on it." Next, Candy got the context of the message. It read, "Important. This bottle is one of the series released at known locations in the Gulf of Mexico by scientists from the Galveston Botanical Laboratories of the U.S. Bureau of Commercial Fisheries." Of course, a government agency wasn't releasing bottles into the water just for fun. The letter continued, "These releases are part of a study to determine the role that water currents play in the movement of young shrimp from offshore spawning grounds to inshore nursery grounds. So the Galveston Botanical Laboratories want to know where the bottle ended up. Hence the spots for the finder to fill in their personal information." Candy chuckled as she read the end of the letter. It revealed the value of the treasure she had found on the beach. It said, "The person finding this bottle should complete the enclosed postcard and mail it at the first opportunity. A 50-cent reward will be sent for each completed return." Shortly after Candy's Facebook Live broadcast ended, it racked up hundreds of views, and it was clear that the right people had seen it. She shared in a comment on the video that she received a very exciting call about the bottle. Later, she noted that the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA) had gotten in contact with her. The NOAA had taken the place of the U.S. Bureau of Commercial Fisheries, the organization who wrote the message that Candy and Jim found. And the former knew precisely when and how many bottles had been deployed. In a feature story on their website, they further explained the Bygone project. The February 2019 article from the NOAA explained that Candy and Jim's bottle was one of the 7,863 that had been deployed in the northwestern corner of the Gulf of Mexico. Surprisingly, scientists had released the bottles between February 1962 and December 1963, meaning the Corpus Christi couple had found them more than 50 years after the experiment was initiated. During the intervening years, the U.S. Bureau of Commercial Fisheries had become the NOAA, but their offices remained in Galveston. In 2019, Matthew Johnson served as the lab's acting director, and he explained to CNN why the team in the 1960s had wanted to understand shrimp spawning in the area. Johnson said, "At the time, the shrimp fishery was the largest in the Gulf of Mexico, and this was the first attempt to start managing the species." On top of that, the lab director explained that modern fishermen still use what they know about water currents and shrimp nursing grounds to set their harvesting quotas. And for many years, the message in a bottle technique proved the best way for fishermen to track ocean currents. As such, the containers they set to sea continue to wash up on shore decades after hitting the waves. Nowadays, experts use different methods for harvesting the same data. According to Johnson, the NOAA and other organizations now rely on the reefer buoys. They also bob freely through the ocean, but they come equipped with satellite or radio equipment, so that scientists can instantaneously check in from their onshore labs. And scientists can oversee more than just the buoy's natural drift through the ocean's currents. These high-tech devices track everything from current velocity to water salinity to wind speed to wave height. Researchers can customize the buoys with a sensor to track each one of these conditions. More than 50 years after the experiment commenced, Candy and Jim returned the postcard that came with their message in the bottle. They filled out the required information, their names, address, and the place where they found the glass container. Then, they sent the form back to the NOAA via snail mail. In the early 1960s, when the experiment commenced, researchers set nearly 8,000 bottles to sea. Within 30 days, they recovered approximately 12%, or around 940, of the containers. And then, in 2019, that number ticked up by one with the submission of the bottle that Candy and Jim discovered. Returning the bottle came with a reward, according to the enclosed letter on her Facebook Live broadcast. Candy giggled as she read that she would earn 50 cents for sending the tracking information back to the now NOAA. So, once they received her submission, the agency promised Candy a reward. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be a large sum of money, nothing like a free cruise vacation that Candy had initially hoped to find inside the message in the bottle. Instead, Johnson said that he offered her and Jim their $50 reward, which would cost 55 cents to ship it and $3 to print on a convenience check. In the end, it seems they declined the prize, which makes sense considering Candy already called this one of a kind find a wonderful treasure when she opened it. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe.